Hey everybody, welcome back here to A Place to Heal. My name is Marie, in case you've never been here before. Okay, so this is not going to be one of those product videos. And because I am I'm a very strong believer that products and herbs and supplements are second nature. It's something that helps you, but it's not something that is absolutely needed in order to change a condition. Number one, and I tell everybody this, I don't care if it's working out, I don't care if it's getting healthy. Food, what you put in here is number one. So I always tell everybody at the gym, you can sit there and work out 5 hours a day, but if you're going home and eating crap, you're never going to get anywhere. And it's the same thing with health. It does not matter. You can buy $5 million worth of supplements. If you are not stopping the toxic stuff that you are putting in your mouth, it is not going to happen. So this is going to be a very realistic video, a very straightforward video, and have at it. I don't care about all the nasty comments because I'm telling you, I've done the research and I have the numbers, and I know that doctors watch these videos, and I know that I have tons of nurses that follow me. So I want to give the numbers. So because they know what the numbers mean. A lot of you may not know what these numbers mean, but most people do. Other holistic doctors and everything do. Okay, so one of the things that I feel that we absolutely need to get away with, from, is what can I take? That's always the first question I get from people. What can I take? We need to get out of that mentality. That is a Western medicine mentality, where we go to the doctor and we tell them, give me something for this. Give me something for this. Okay. We need to get away from that mentality, because that mentality is what's killing us. We need to get to the core of the problem, because the core sits a lot deeper. So if you go to your doctor and your doctor tells you you have high blood pressure, right? The first thing that they've trained our minds to do is, here's a pill, take this. Okay, we need to get away from that. You need to start asking the right questions, because if you don't ask the right questions, the wrong questions will kill you. So when your doctor sits there and tells you you have high blood pressure, the first question that you should ask is, what's causing it? Not what can I take for it? What is causing it? This video is mainly on diabetes, and I can't stress that to you enough, because my experience with diabetes was that when I went into the hospital in 2010, I walked in there and my doctor told me, after they did all my stuff, they told me that my blood sugar was at 720. He looked at me, he's like, I don't even know why you're even here right now. You shouldn't even be here because it's so high. Since then, I have heard, I thought that was ridiculously high, but I have heard of people in the 600s, 500s. That's like nothing. That people, their numbers do get that high and they don't realize it. Okay. Number two, my A1C, when it came back, it was 12.4. So it was, I didn't know what A1C was back then. I was like, okay, 12.4, whatever. Not up to 100. So that can't be too bad, right? I didn't know, but what I did know, what I knew deep down inside, was a pill was not going to take care of the problem. So the minute that they told me, we're going to put you on metformin, I said, stop. That's not going to happen, because I knew that pills are nothing but a Band-Aid. And the first thing I want to tell you guys is metformin makes your numbers look really pretty. But please listen when I tell you this. It does not stop the disease from progressing. Even though the numbers look pretty and you think it's stopping your diabetes, and it is not. Okay, the disease is still progressing forward. It's continuing on. It's continuing on. So, not too long ago, because I am on the A1C watch list, I know some of you who are diabetic, you know that, okay? So once a year, they make you do your renal test, your A1C test, all this stuff. I went into the diabetic clinic to get my my yearly A1C numbers. And I swear to you, there was a man in front of me. He must have been maybe 5 years younger than I am. And the nurse asked him, how long have you been diabetic? And he said, oh, I've been diabetic, I think he said 6 years now, and or 4 years. And they said, well, you know, your numbers are still pretty high, and are you watching what you're eating? And he's like, yeah. He goes, somebody needs to tell me how I caught this, because I'm really good at washing my hands all the time. I was like, don't say anything. Just go outside, pace if you have to, do whatever it takes, but don't say anything. And it was so hard for me. And I did. I went outside and I paced, and I let him walk. I let him go, and I didn't say anything, because, you know, it's not my business to interfere with the medical community. It is not. They have their thing going. I have my thing going, and I don't interfere. But if there's something that I can stress to everyone, if there is any one of you out there that still believe that diabetes is something that you catch, or something that runs in the family, you're in big trouble, because neither one is true. Those are both horrible myths. Okay, number one, you cannot catch diabetes. The only way that you can catch diabetes is through a crappy diet, by eating the wrong foods and having your liver dirty and your pancreas dirty. That's how you catch diabetes. Number two, you cannot inherit it. I'm telling you, I need to start pronouncing my words better. You cannot inherit it through family members. It runs in my family. No, the only thing that runs in your family is a shitty diet. I'm sorry, but I told you this was going to be a brutally honest video, because diabetes is just, it should not even exist. It shouldn't. So I'm going to tell you what worked for me, what reversed my diabetes. Okay, I'm not saying this works for everybody. I'm just saying that the research that I did, that I went through, and the things that I had to learn in order to reverse those crazy numbers that I started out with. So the first thing is, you know, when I went online and I first started doing all my research, and now, you know, I help tons of people with diabetes. It's my passion. It's what I do. And kidney disease, because kidney disease and diabetes are hand in hand. Heart disease and diabetes are hand in hand. So one of the things, I mean, there's a lot of things. And if you guys want more information on how to reverse your diabetes, get a consultation. I mean, this is not something that I can go into a 4-hour video about. You know, it's just not going to happen. But I am going to tell you the basics. Okay. And if you need more help, if you want to know all the supplements and everything that can help you further, then, you know, feel free to get an email consultation or a phone consultation with me. I do both, and they're both equally just as good. You know, email consultations, believe me, I can get just as intricate in email consultations as I can in phone consultations. It doesn't matter. So anyway, so back to this. One thing that I first started hearing a lot online, when I first got online and I first started doing my research and everything else, was that you could eat tons of fruit. Just eat fruit. Fruit will reverse diabetes. Fruitarianism is wonderful. 20 bananas a day, perfectly fine. Let me tell you what I learned. No, it is not fine. So when I first started doing it, okay, if you're in your 20s, you got diabetes, you're in your 20s and your liver's healthy and your pancreas is healthy, have at it, eat some fruit. But when you're in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s or 60s, forget it. It's not going to happen. So it wasn't until not too many years ago that we started incorporating all this processed sugar into our diet. Your body does not first of all, your body doesn't recognize all that processed sugar stuff. It just doesn't. Your kidneys don't, your liver doesn't. It doesn't go for that. Okay? So I always tell people, think of in the beginning, if you were a caveman, a cavewoman, whatever, and you were out in the wilderness, what would you use for sugar? You would either use cane sugar, you would use syrup out of a tree, or you would use honey or agave, right, out of a cactus, but you would not use anything else as a sugar. But what I do want to tell you is, in a diabetic body, in an over obese body, in an overly thin body where you have candida going on and everything else, sugar is sugar is sugar. It doesn't matter if it comes from agave. It doesn't matter if it comes from pineapple. It doesn't matter if it comes from an apple. It doesn't matter if it comes from honey. Anything that is sugar is going to turn to sugar. Because let me tell you what happens. Your liver is a still. So I have a lot of people that come to me and say, oh, I have cirrhosis of the liver, but I'm not an alcoholic. I've never drank. Well, what ends up happening is there's a reason you became a diabetic, and that's because you love sugar and some form of sugar or another. And that sugar turns, the liver will turn it into sugar alcohol because your liver is not functioning correctly. So it's going to do it. And all the next thing you know, you end up with cirrhosis of the liver, and you're like, how did I end up with cirrhosis? Because of the sugar, not because of the alcohol, but because of the sugar, because it turned it into the sugar in the liver, because the liver is so toxic. So one of the things, if you're diabetic, you really need to look into liver cleanses. It's a must. You need to like TMG. Stuff for the liver, anything that's for the liver flushes, coffee enemas, anything that will help to heal the liver is going to also assist you with your diabetes. Okay, so back to the fruit issue. There was a lot of fruitarians online that say, well, I healed myself with sugar. Well, I healed myself with that. So what I learned is I started my numbers. I did bring them down from 720. I brought it down to 220. And just by starting to eat healthy. That was years ago. So, but I was still listening to the gurus, and I was having fruit smoothies, and I was having dates, and I was having, stuff like that. Dates, stuff that was really sweet. And to sweeten stuff, instead of using sugar, I was using dates. I was using raisins. I was using stuff like that. And pineapple, apple. And my sugars dropped down to 140, my glucose numbers. When I first woke up in the morning, they were still 140, but I still was not having any luck. Bringing them down past 120. I got down to 120, and that's as much as I could do. So when I was 120, let me see, these are first. My creatine levels were 0.65. So that was my kidneys. I used to have horrible kidney issues because of my diabetes. I almost had to go on dialysis. and my A1C was 5.6. Okay, so that's not bad. I mean, 5.6, it went from 7.2 to 5.6. And let me see if I highlighted another one. No, that was it. So my kidneys severely improved by cutting down my fruits. Like, I got rid of the real sweet ones, like watermelon, papayas, pineapple, those that were really super sweet. I got rid of those, and I was able to bring down my A1C to 5.6, and my kidneys improved to 0.65, my creatine levels. Okay, so I did pretty good. These results are from October of 2017. So this was last year. So October 2017. And I'm going to see, I'll even put it up there. See, there's the levels. 5.6. Okay, my A1C. So that was done at a lab. So this year, they said, hey, you're still on our radar. We need you to come in. And I was like, for real? So he says, yes, for real. That's what my doctor said. Excuse me. So still battling with the cold. So I said, okay. So this year, I did something a little different. So this year, I got rid of all fruit, except anything that ended in berry. Blackberries, blueberries, boysenberries, mulberries, strawberries. Anything that ended in berries was the only thing that I put into my mouth. And I usually would have it with yogurt or something. But that's what I did for whether I wanted ice cream or anything. I did a sherbet. I would put it in the food processor, and I would only use berries. I didn't touch bananas. I would touch a banana once every 3 months, 3 or 4 months, if I really was in the mood for a banana. If I really wanted an apple, I would have an apple maybe once a week with some almond butter or something like that. But otherwise, no fruit. The only thing I would touch was berries. Berries were okay to do. And I know a lot of you are like, berries, not that great. But you know what? When you get rid of the other fruit, berries are actually pretty sweet. So the next thing that I did besides the berries this last year, because I knew I was going to have to test in October this month, I got rid of all sugar. I'm not talking like agave. Yes, agave, honey, maple syrup, all sugar, all sugar. The only thing that I would use to sweeten anything was erythritol, and that was it. I'm going to put it right there because I know a lot of you are going to go, what? Yes, there's been studies that say that erythritol is not the best, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It does give you a little bit of gas. As long as you don't use a lot of it, you're fine. And so I used that to sweeten my stuff, and I was great. And the third thing that I implicated this year was intermittent fasting, because there has now been studies coming out of Japan and coming out of Russia that say that when you take metformin, all it does is move the sugar around in your body to make the numbers look pretty. But that glucose is always going to sit inside your body. And that sugar is stuck there in the cells. But when you intermittent fast, and I tried this before and I was like, nah. But now I noticed that it does work. So what I normally do is I stop eating at like 7 o'clock at night. And I I go 15 hours without food. You can drink water. I go 15 hours without food, and then I'll reintroduce food again at like 10 or 11 o'clock the following day is what I do. So what happens in those 15 hours is that your body is able to take out the trash. All the organs are able to take out the trash. And at the same time, your body kind of becomes like an incinerator. Okay, so your body is going to first start consuming all the sugar that's in your liver. Because when you don't give it food, it needs something for energy. So what it's going to do is it's going to start chewing up all the sugar that's in your liver, right? So once it's done with that sugar, then and only then will it switch over to consuming fat as a source of energy. Okay, but it's always going to use that first. So what ends up happening is slowly but surely every day. It's not going to happen right away because it's only going to consume so much glycogen that's in your liver, so much sugar, so much glucose that's in your liver for energy. But every day it's chewing up some. Every day it's chewing up some. And every day it's chewing up some. And eventually you will get rid of all that sugar that's just floating around in your blood and being transferred by metformin. So what ended up happening was I did that. I did 15 hours. And it also made sense. I'm going to be bringing out a book, hopefully sometime next year, on all this, explaining all this. And in the beginning, we didn't have refrigerators, right? We lived in a cave. We didn't have refrigerators. We had no way to keep food. So what did you do? When the sun went down, you stopped eating. And you wouldn't dare leave that cave because there's a chance you might get eaten. So in the morning when the sun came up was when we foraged again, right? So we're not doing that anymore. We're not giving our organs that time to rest. So I thought, wow, that really made sense to me, right? I mean, from all the research I had done and everything else, that really, really made sense to me. So what did I do? I started doing that. And then I held my breath when they asked me to come in. And I was like, God, I hope this worked. Okay, so I went in at the beginning of the middle of last month. And I'm going to read you this part because you're going to laugh afterwards. Okay, so my A1C, correct? My A1C last time I tested was, what did I say it was? I lost it. 5.6, right? 5.6. Those are my new results. 4.8. Yes. So let me tell you what happened. So the nurse takes my A1C. They have a little lab right there, and they run the numbers right there. So I see her and the doctor talking, and the next thing I know, she sits there and she says, "Miss Stevens?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, are my results ready?" She goes, "No." She goes, "The doctor would like me to retest you." So I was like, "Okay." So I go to give her my hand, and she goes, No. She goes, "We'd like to do the other arm." So I was like, "Is something wrong?" I'm freaking, right? Because I'm like, oh man, I bet you from all this fasting and my numbers are like through the roof. I was so scared. So, because I'm a guinea pig and you never know what's going to happen. So she's like, no, we want to do your other arm. So I was like, okay. So they do my other arm and they take my blood pressure. So my blood pressure is 122/61. So she kind of looks at me and she goes, yeah, she goes, "Go ahead and have a seat over there." So I said, okay. So meanwhile, they're doing all these other people. Well, finally, when it was all said and done, the doctor is standing next to her and she calls me up and she says, we have your results. And I said, okay. And she goes, 4.8. And I go, hot damn. Yes. And the doctor looks at me. He goes, hot damn is right. He goes, because those results are better than mine. He goes, your A1C is better than mine. And I could not have, if I would have had a longer arm, I would have been, yes, I would have been patting myself all over the back. I would have. So not only did my A1C greatly improve, but if you remember last year, my creatine levels were 0.65. And this year, 0.1. He's like, that's like unheard of. He goes, your kidneys are like back functioning almost 100%. Yes. So I attribute that to the intermittent fasting, the getting all that excess sugar out of my body. I attribute it to the getting rid of all the fruits except for the berries. And of course, exercise. Because let me tell you, if you can even lift weights, and don't sit there and please shake your head at me and go, I can't do that. I see people at my gym. I see women that are in their 70s lifting weights. Even if you can do 45 minutes to an hour a day, that's nothing. Even if you don't know how, find somebody that will teach you. One of my goals, I told you, I was going to let you guys know, one of my goals is to sell this home. I'm going to be buying another home, and I'm going to be, I want something with a large garage because I do want to do training inside my garage. I do want to teach people how to lift, and I'm going to tell you why. I've been lifting since I was in my 20s, and I let it go for a long time, and it was my demise. I mean, that's how I got so sick, was letting go of that passion. But I think everyone should learn how to lift, and I'm going to tell you why. When you lift weights, any weights, it doesn't even matter if it's 5 pounds, you are controlling your blood sugar, and that blood sugar will stay in check because your body has to keep that blood sugar in check in order to supply your muscles with oxygen while you're lifting weights. So, and as you age, it is so important. I mean, so important to do that for yourself because it keeps your muscles toned. You know, you don't lose that muscle mass. And not only that, but it keeps the weight off because the more muscle that you have in your body, the more, the more you burn, the more fat that you burn. So it's very important to do that for yourself. So that's what I did this year. I incorporated more exercise, more lifting, more weight lifting, right? Because I love to dance, so I was always dancing. That's a lot of cardio, which is great for the heart, but I did more lifting, and I did the intermittent fasting, and I got rid of all sugar, and my numbers are awesome. So let me tell you how awesome these numbers are. For those of you who don't know numbers, my insurance called me day before yesterday, and they said, "Hi, Marie. Hey, we seem to be having a problem here." And I said, "Okay, what's the problem?" "Well, your numbers tested really low, and that's just not very common, not only in diabetes, but also in kidney disease. That's not okay. So we think there might be something wrong with you." What? So, this is how sneaky they are. So they're like, we want to retest you. I'm like, I don't want to retest. No, why? Do you feel that those numbers weren't accurate? I go, oh no, I think the numbers were very accurate. Okay, well then we need to retest you. Okay, you know what? Fine, I'll play your little game. Let's retest. Let's do this again, shall we? So, you know when they're going to retest me? 3 days after Thanksgiving. Because they know that most diabetics will sit there and eat pie and cake and everything else. But they don't know this person. I don't do that. I eat a lot of salads and everything else. So bring on the tests, because we're going to do it again. And we're going to see. Not only do they want to retest me, but on my cover sheet, okay, it specifically reads in bold letters, repeat your imaging in 1 year, a must. Glucose and blood pressure control is recommended. Now, if my glucose numbers were better than my doctor's, and my A1C was better than my doctor's, and my blood pressure was better than textbook, why do they have me on a watch list? So I specifically told them that I'm going to test one more time, because sometimes you've got to stand up for yourself in the medical community, or they will walk all over you. Sorry, docs. But I'm going to test one more time. And if I test negative for diabetes, and if I test negative for kidney disease, I'm going to go to my doctor and I'm going to tell them, you need to take me off this list now. I will not be testing once a year for kidney disease anymore, and I will not be testing once a year for glaucoma anymore, and I would not be testing for A1C once a year anymore. It's ridiculous. So there you go. Now, I know I've ranted on and on and on. I hope that I've given you some information to go by. Like I said, there is some supplements that I did take, you know, that do help with renal disease. They do help, you know, because all that is important with diabetes. That do help with renal disease. It does help with heart disease, and it does help with diabetes. So, if you'd like more information, like I said, you are always free to book consultations with me. I'm going to tell you straight up right now, my consultations get booked up really fast. I'm usually booked 2 and 3 months in advance. Sometimes if I can get you in, that's a miracle. And my afternoons get booked up like that. So usually late mornings is sometimes when I have openings. So, you know, I can only tell you that. But, and then that way, you know, I can give you a list of all the stuff that you need if that's something that you want to do. Otherwise, you can get on Google and you can do research. But if I can suggest anything to you to reverse your diabetes, because diabetes obviously is 100% reversible, is eat more whole foods. Try intermittent fasting. It's our original DNA. It's our original makeup. It's what we should be doing. We should be stopping eating at a certain time and not resuming, letting our body clean itself, rejuvenate itself. Number 2. Number 3, cut back all those damn processed sugars. They're killing you. So, you know, try to get rid of that. There's other ways. I mean, like for Thanksgiving, you can check out Fully Raw Christina. She has got an awesome raw pumpkin pie that I make every year, and I even give it to friends, and they're like, wow, this stuff is even better, and it's made with persimmons. You know, I mean, there's ways around this, people. There is. And you can reverse it, and you can be so much healthier, and you can get ready to turn 60 and look awesome. You know, you can. It's doable. And lift. Get out there and lift. Lift. There's a doctor. I will be putting her, actually I'm going to put it right here, her Instagram account. She's wonderful. I think she's in her 70s, her 80s, something like that. And this woman lifts like crazy, and she dances and she cumbias and everything else, and she is just like awesome. Because why? She's got like the same energy I do. Why? Because of all this. Because you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself enough to make yourself a priority and know that you are important enough to take care of yourself, to feed this machine, this beautiful machine that you were loaned for a short period of time. You've got to learn how to take care of it. You read the manual on your car 1,000 times. You know when to change the oil and the transmission fluid and put gas in it and everything else. And you don't dare put regular gas in it if it needs unleaded. But why do you do that to your body? You know, we have this wonderful machine and you're screwing it all up by putting the wrong gas in it, feeding it crap that it shouldn't. And, you know, you're not cleaning the carburetor and you're not cleaning the nothing. You know, and you need to be doing all that. You need to be cleaning your colon. You have to. There's junk in there that's been stuck in there for years. You need to clean your colon. You need to clean your liver. You need to clean those kidneys. You need to start doing all this stuff so that this machine that is not separate of itself, it is all one intricate, beautiful system, can run smoothly from top to bottom. All right? So, for those of you who don't like to hear me talk, this was not the video to watch. All right. So, till next time. I love you guys. Please love yourselves enough to do this stuff for yourselves. And stay away from the sugar and the crap and all. Your body doesn't recognize that stuff. And we will see you next week with hopefully some more info from my journey and, you know, how to heal your body in different ways. All right. Till then, love you guys. Bye.